obviously when there's more than one or like two people involved in a regular hug, okay, usually somebody calls it. They're like, group hug, right? That's exactly what happens. So everyone knows, okay, now we're all coming in, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many people are involved, somebody knows enough to say group hug. So you know if it's more than two, which is yourself and another person. You're going to know because somebody's going to call it. You got to call it.
What if somebody is not invited to that group hug and they invite themselves and call it a group hug?
Wait a second. That sounds like a very logistical situation. Like, where do they pop? What little mole hole did they pop out of?
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, like if you're not there and you're not invited, then get out of that group because you're on an episode of Mean Girls. And that's a movie, but now there's episodes.
I didn't think about Mean Girls. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so they cannot begin a group hug if they were not given the proper copyright paperwork.
You don't want to force yourself on anyone.
I just wanted to say
that. You don't want to force hugs, especially with multiple people and the grabbing and group. You know, that just sounds a little forceful. I'm not about that.
Yeah, that's a sketchy hugger. That's a sketchy hugger. And what's also important is number 2, the duration of the hug. Now
this is very important.
It's creepy.
As someone,
let me go.
Right. Like you said, a female perspective. Now, all my ladies out there, we know what we're talking about, whether you're in a work situation or it's your neighbor or it's a family friend or you're at church. The church ladies, wherever you are, we're talking about the little side hugs, right? Or the older men that are, hey, or... Those all matter when we're talking about duration of hugs. Now, I'm not trying to be sexist. There's plenty of men that have had uncomfortable hugs out there, and I'm shouting out to you as well. You're not left out. I'm thinking of you right now. So I want to make sure to acknowledge all my mans out there. But
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, but it is true.
Not all created equal.
Yeah, whether it's with your family, and I'm really big on this, and this is going to tie in with your last point. I know we mentioned it really quick because we were like, oh, yeah, the last one's different. But you don't want to, force your kids. If you have kids, if you're involved with kids, you don't want to, ever make it oh, you need to go give your family a hug. Because that's how a lot of us were brought up, right? You got to hug them. You got to kiss your family member. You got to do this. You got to do that because, they're wanting this affection. And I raised my son where I have always told him, yes, hug if you want to, but if you ever feel really uncomfortable for whatever reason, you don't have to do that. And please let me know. And, don't ever feel like you have to do any of these affection things that we grew up in my generation and above that, where it was you got to do all these things, right, out of respect.
No, you make a very valid point because a lot of times people don't think of that.
Yeah.
And there may be things that make that child uncomfortable to do that about that adult.
Yeah. Kids are smart.
Of different body parts. That was an interesting thing he brought up. Let me just touch on this real quick. He puts it here. He says a hug between two people can look very different from only a slight touch to full on body contact. Thus, it is important to characterize the movement of different body parts involved in a hug. He gives a breakdown. Everybody, you can go take a look at this article. Of course, we're not going to read it step by step, but your thoughts. He talks about the upper body, the chest, the lower body. He talks about leg contact. He starts breaking stuff down.
Yeah.
About your thoughts, my friend.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. But it's true. I've experienced it all.
Oh, I didn't know when we went over this article, this information. Go right ahead. I'll just lean back. Go ahead.
I'm just a friendly type of gal. I've always grown up that way, but that can get you in trouble because you're so friendly, and I've been so seemingly naive and innocent, of course, growing up at different times. But it's true. It's people don't realize, and especially people are coming in that you don't know as well, and they're giving you a full frontal hug suddenly, and you're trying to do a little side swipe hug, right? You're coming in from the side, and then they're making it to the front. And then as a woman, when you have a chest area that's there, and you're all of a sudden it's being pressed in to someone that you're not as close to or you just even met. Ladies, do you hear what I'm saying? They know what's going on.
They know.
See, and I'm not saying that men don't have a chest area, but it's not as sensitive, right?
There you go. No, right. That's absolutely
so correct. It's more of an alert if someone could pull you into maybe an inappropriate hug for the relationship or the duration of the hug or whatever you have.
That's a really good life experience you're sharing because it's
for example,
spot on to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes if we're not careful, men, if we're not careful, adults, if we're not careful, we're putting our body, we're entering someone's space, and we need to check ourselves.
Some people know what they're doing though, and other people don't.
Well, now we're talking predators, right?
Oh, there's a lot of different nuances. That is definitely one of the big ones.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Okay,
that's
so
another
there needs
one.
to be a hugging meter. You need to make one.
I could make one on a poster board and do a whole span with the meter going, yeah. Hey, and then we could give examples.
You could have had a board up behind you and do the whole Vanna White thing and show us.
That's a fun summer project. I'll get right on that. Well, I'll get my son to do it.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
And then I'll pay him.
Don't even say that. Number 4, the amount of pressure applied is what he talks about. Sir Aucklandberg, PhD, Psychology Today article. The amount of pressure applied. So if your eyes are popping out of your head, that's a problem. So
this is killing me. This was one of the things I looked at it and I was like, I was laughing. Yeah, usually I hate to hate on the men. I'm really not. I'm just being honest from my experience. And men are stronger than women. We're talking about biologically as a whole, as a generalization. Yes, you are. And especially with upper body strength. So there are a lot of situations where it surprised me maybe how hard this man that I barely know has gotten me in from a side to a full frontal hug and extra pressure is applied and then suddenly and you just kind of hold your breath.
He's squeezing your spleen.
I don't even know what's in there anymore. Spleen, heart, lungs.
Your kidneys are down by your knees.
I've learned how to hold my breath very quickly in certain situations. Just goes? To not fight for a breath. Just to hold it, let it pass. Isn't that sad? That sounds sad. But it's true. And I was good in the water.
When you were in those situations, that's why you swim so well. Yeah. When you're in those situations, I have to ask now, does that normally happen with strangers or relatives?
Stranger danger. It's more like acquaintances, actually, because someone like me, I've grown up in the same city, in the same town, and I've been here since I was 9 years old. So I pretty much grew up here, obviously, right here. I'm in Winter Garden, Florida, and it's this is right out of Orlando, and I've gone to church for many years off and on. I've gone to a lot of neighborhood functions. You know, you're talking about going to different schools, extracurricular activities, family. All of a sudden, you have all of these networks just in this town.
Yeah.
And then you're working and you're becoming a professional. And it's you can imagine a lot of acquaintances, not necessarily even family members. Most of my family lives up in South Carolina and some other areas. And so I don't even get to see them that often. I probably saw them more growing up when I was younger.
Okay, so you're in Hugland then, huh?
Hugland has been for me acquaintance town, going from church to this party to this to that to the neighborhood functions, and then before you know it, you kind of know everyone, or people feel like they know you because they know your parents or they know this person or that, and so they feel more comfortable than they would otherwise, right?
Give them permission to be comfortable.
Yeah, and you're a friendly person.
To be that comfortable, but they will.
Yeah. Especially when you give them, I didn't realize what a friendly face does for people when I'm really good at eye contact. I've just always been like that ever since I was little, ever since I can remember talking or interacting with anyone. and just the eye contact and the smile. I just have that personality. I'm not saying, oh, I'm so great. It's just, I have that personality where it can go good or bad, right? Because we've talked about the people pleasing and all the trauma and stuff that I've overcome.
Yeah.
But on the good side, it's like I can make people feel welcome and warm and like, hey, let's relate, like, come on in. But it didn't mean come on and then press your body up against mine.
That's right. And
right away.
Squeeze the life out of me.
Basically.
Okay, well then let's do number 5. Number 5. The sidedness of the hug. The sidedness of the hug. Okay.
This kills me.
I've got to. Here we go.
What do you think?
Read it again, straight from right here.
Yeah.
It says research has shown that in emotionally significant situations, there is a leftward shift of the hugging arm. So sidedness is an important feature of a hug. These are like instructions to get on a plane. I just like, he did a great job. I could never do an article like this. He really knew what he was talking about. It has been found that most people prefer hugging with the right arm leading the embrace. Right arm.
I've noticed that.
Leading
I've done
the
that.
embrace. And whether the left or the right arm is leading the embrace is an important feature of the hug. So do you lead with your left or your right?
My
you even
right.
thought about that? I've never thought about it.
I have never thought about that until now. Congratulations.
Yeah,
You're bringing me out of my
I
zone.
lost a lot of sleep just on number 5. Just on number
But
5.
Question for you. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I am right-handed.
Me too.
The other hand. I am right-handed. However, it depends on who I'm talking to when it's time to hug. If they're relatively close to me and we know each other, I'm sticking my right arm out and I'm hugging them.
Sure.
If I don't know them that well, they're getting the left if I even give them a hug at all.
Oh, wait a minute. So now you're
I give them a left hug pat. That's what I give.
Oh, wow. Oh my God! Now you're making me really think.
Because I'm a father of daughters and I'm a man. So and plus,
man, baby.
My parents taught me.
Yes. Well, that's your parents were good.
Hug a woman, if you know her well, give it the right. So I didn't come up with this. This is what I learned as a kid.
They're on point.
So
shout out to your parents.
Hey, yeah, you gotta be careful who you hug, especially now with COVID. So
COVID. Oh,
maybe
man.
Maybe the last hug you have.
But if you have your mask on, you're good, right? I don't know.
That's true. That's true too. Unless they brought it home. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, change the subject. The relationship. What is it doing this show with you that I lose my voice?
Your throat chakra. It's getting like it's like whoa.
Okay. You're coming up with these amazing things. You're doing so much research. The relationship between the people who hug. Now, I thought this was interesting. The relationship. Now, you're talking about in your hometown and dealing with people that you do have some type of measure of relationship with. But the relationship between the people who hug, according to Sir Aucklandberg, is very important.
Well, yeah, of course. Like my family, the people that I really know, I go in, there's no side hug available. We're going full, we're just facing each other.
Side hug available?
No, you ain't getting no side from me if you're my family, my circle.
That's right. That's your ghetto fabulous circle.
You're getting a peck on the cheek, if not the lips, in this family, and you're getting a full hug, a frontal.
You guys are family. Hey, they want to remind you it's biological, huh?
Yes.
This is biological. Biological.
Unless you're mad at each other, obviously, or then you just run away.
Okay, so wait. So what hug comes in?
You don't hug.
You don't get a hug.
When you're mad.
Oh, okay, got it.
You go in your room and you lock the door. Or you leave the vicinity. Okay.
I'm out of this prison.
Those are the options. But the because the side thing we keep talking about, I keep joking, but it's true. Like the acquaintances and the work things and the this, and you're just meeting And people who just meet me do hug, or they do the whole European thing, like, mwah, mwah. And I'm like, you ain't European. Which country? You're from here. Like, okay, I guess you're suddenly adopting that,
Stop watching that
custom.
Movie. You guys watching too many of them European movies. Cut it out. Don't be go kissing on me. I don't want your DNA.
But I'm all about it. I'm comfortable with every single I would just say every background. Like,
you're good.
I don't know what I just did.
No, you do. I can hear you.
It's my fingers. They do something of their own. I don't know. It's weird.
As long as you're not hugging someone and your fingers do that, because that'll get you slapped.
That's not on the list.
Get you cut.
Where are your fingers when you're hugging? They didn't ask that.
Hey,
what are your fingers?
T-shirt that says that. Where are your fingers?
Your fingers should not be doing anything when you're hugging.
That should be your hugging T-shirt. Okay, I gotta read something he said here. And he says the relationship between the people who hug is another important feature of the hug. Most people who hug each other, other. I've just learned how to read. Okay, so most people who hug each other know each other beforehand. People who hug may be romantic partners, parents, children, members of the same family, or friends. However, sometimes we would also hug people we do not know. I just love the way he wrote this. It's literally, if you've never hugged before on this planet, you should read this article. If you're second guessing your hugging capability, you should read this article, because he literally lays out how to stay out of trouble when it comes to hugging or end up in jail, whichever.
Yes.
So whichever.
Very important nowadays.
Number 7, the emotional significance of the situation. I'd never even thought of this.
Have you not?
Never crossed my mind.
So you've never had a moment where it was like, take my breath away. Dun, 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 dun. No?
Go and sing it, girl. Go
and
sing it. Don't make a church up in there.
Slow motion as you turn around and say, my love, take my... Okay, so that's like,
Go ahead.
Romantic maybe is different if you haven't seen each other in a while, or a family member, or such a close friend. Maybe military peeps, people who have been traveling for work and doing important projects and service to humanity. I'm just kind of like throwing those guys out there, because have you seen the videos online where it's like they haven't seen him in forever, they came back for more, or whatever it is, and it's such an emotional hug, and it just makes you tear up when you're watching it. Or that's just me?
No,
probably not.
No, that's all of us. So an emotional significance, the situation, emotion. When was the last time you had a hug that either almost or brought you to tears?
Oh, I mean, I've been having conversations, I would say, with my family fairly recently. Over the months, I've just been, as I've mentioned, just on a spiritual journey. And, well, that's my whole life. That's all of our lives, really, if you're tapping into anything spiritual at all. But I would say just more intense lately, just kind of kicking it up a notch. It's become more important to me as I've gone through different things and learned things. Very specific,
and
right?
That's for another show, everyone.
Anyway.
We'll discuss that on NATV TV.
Yeah, no worries. But just getting in those conversations and just already having emotions flowing, and then just having that hug, it just kind of brings it out even more. I would say I've had that with my sister, my dad, my mom, my son recently, few close friends. I wish I had been able to see them in person. We do a couple of my close girlfriends, we do a lot of Marco Polo videos, because we're not always right next to each other.
Wow.
But we give virtual hugs.
If ever you're all together, then there's going to be a lot of tears and a lot of course, group and tight hugging by all of you, because you miss each other.
I'm comfortable with crying.
You're comfortable with crying? Is that
I am.
Yeah, that's good.
In public or anywhere. I know that's okay, thanks for sharing, but a lot of people aren't. I would say most people are not, and most people try not to cry, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's my acting training and just getting comfortable with expressing emotions and storytelling and all of that. And I loved it and I fell so in love with it. I just fully embraced it. So it crossed over to my real life, thank God. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just openly don't have an issue with it.
Wow.
That's just me. I'm just being honest. But
Yeah, I like your honesty. So man, there's so many questions I want to ask you right now, but I'm going to go to number 8. The cultural background of the people who hug. Again, did not cross my mind.
Oh, yeah.
One culture may be comfortable. What did you just say? The European style of literally cheek-to-cheek kissing or touching. So
it's like you're not really kissing the cheek. It's almost like their lips are off the cheek. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, mwah, mwah, like, poo, poo. Like, they're not even full-on kissing the cheek. It's more of that custom and that cultural, like, tradition and friendliness and like warm welcome. And you know, my ex-husband, my son's father, he's half Greek, and you know that the Greek side of that family that I've known for a very long time, they're amazing, as well as the American side. But
she's trying to cover all the bases.
Covering all my bases.
So,
but yeah, lots of, you know, affection just when you're meeting everyone and you're kissing and you're hugging, and of course with that, it's all meaning so well. You can feel people's vibe too. This is not on the list, Paxton, but the vibe and the energy that you can feel from the hug is also a thing.
That's true.
So you can tell if it's really part of the cultural back. You're not like worried about it, or I'm not as much, whether the intensity or because there's no other ulterior motive. It's really just them expressing their background and their tradition.
That was one of the things that I picked out of what you're talking about right now is exactly what the article is highlighting, that there's no ulterior motive when these things come into play, but the cultural background of the people who hug. Aucklandberg Sebastian said this: which culture we come from strongly affects how we hug. So younger and more liberal people in less conservative countries hug more than older and conservative countries. So there's many dynamics that can come into play when it comes to hugging, but I've met older people who hug more than younger people, so it really can vary, right?
That's why I make that face, because I was just talking about one of those European.
You make a lot of faces.
Greek.
First of all, you make a lot of faces.
I haven't even been over there. I need to get my butt somewhere else and go travel.
Yeah, go travel and go. You know what?
Yeah.
Why don't you do a survey of hugging? Just travel.
I was going to say, I could be in the streets interviewing people.
We should do that.
With my little language books.
We should do a show where you're interviewing people on the streets. There you go.
I already have one for Greek, Italian, Spanish. I have a couple little language books. I already have them like ready to go.
There you go. Okay, so you.
I'm preparing.
We're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this, and we'll do a tour of your area with all of those cultures.
Tour de
France. That'll get you ready for when you actually go to all of those places. Don't mind us, everybody. This is free internet, so enjoy it. We're going to go to number 9. Number 9. The personalities of the people who hug. Okay, this Sebastian is good. The personalities of the people who hug.
Yes.
Again, never crossed my mind. You? Well,
yes, of course, because I'm like sharing about myself. I am that warm, like you could tell I'm like extroverted. It is easy for me to.
You're very gregarious.
Yeah.
You like that?
Which can be good and bad.
I play Scrabble. So
you play Scrabble. That is riveting. Is that what you're doing tonight?
No. Actually tonight I'm washing my hair. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Go ahead.
I already did that. See, that doesn't take that long.
No, I have a barbecue pit that I have to clean. But go ahead.
Oh, clean. I was like, that sounds delicious. Oh. I think I'm hungry. I think that's what's happening. So the personalities.
You need to hug whoever the cook is over there.
Yeah, right. Oh, my sister, she's already texting me like, do you want to go out to eat? What's the plan for dinner?
We got to get her on the show.
I know. She was in here. She grabbed her dog, and you didn't even know. It was very quiet.
I'm going to have to talk with her. We need to get her on the show. And you could do an interview of
I need
her.
to interview. We need to do a back and forth thing. Yeah.
We should do it like it's a news interview, like breaking news.
Faux show.
And we interview her about. We're gonna make something up. Everybody, we're gonna make something up. Yep, we are. Okay, go ahead.
To get her on.
The personalities of the people who hug, very important.
Yeah, it is. Because for example, I'm going to use her as an example. She won't mind.
She's not there to defend herself. She just left.
Well, we've often said this in front of a lot of people. We're very different. Our voices sound pretty much the exact same, which is kind of freaky.
That is absolutely correct.
Which you can trick a lot of people if you're talking on the phone, and watch out. You make sure it's me before you start giving away secrets if you're talking to on the phone, okay? It might be my sister answering. Tricking people. She has done that before. So she's very, I would say, a little bit more shy than me. She's not a shy person. Like, once you get to know her, you start talking like...
not shy.
No, but at first, she's a little more reserved than I am. Like, energetically, physically, right? Just the whole nine. So I would say I'm welcoming somebody in for a hug, or I'm going after them, like, a little bit faster. And she's like, no, I'm going to sit back and watch the show and observe and take a few mental notes and probably be turning out a lot smarter than everyone else present and a lot better. So
she's checking
that's
their
her
germ count. She's making sure that they don't have too many germs before she goes in.
She was like that even as a child. My mom and I, we'd sit around and joke around. She's like, Jennifer was so observant. How come you weren't more observant, Crystal? And I'm like, God dang it.
Is that the way your mom talks?
No, but I do that to make it funny so I can smile
really
instead of cry sometimes. No.
I felt I was in trouble when you said it.
Crystal, Jennifer was a valedictorian. I know you were on the honor roll, but how come you... No, she never said that. But she was a valedictorian.
That sounds like a whole nother show we could do. So we need to get Sebastian back in here and talk about sibling differences.
That's another thing. But it's just an example, right? It's like the personalities matter, the energy matters, right?
Yes, without a doubt. Now this is the one that,
the one.
Number 10.
Dun, dun, dun.
Never crossed my mind, but very important to think of.
Definitely crossed my mind.
The role of trauma. I know it did. We were just touching on that before the show. The role of trauma.
Touch and go.
When you go to hug someone, is something to consider. Matter of fact, he says, finally, it is important to consider that not all people enjoy being hugged by others. Some may have experienced trauma that can make a hug feel unpleasant or even trigger anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
And then he goes on and talks a little bit more. Again, this article is the Psychology Today article by Sebastian Hugland. You can read the rest for yourself, but okay, this is it. I've been waiting for this moment. Number 10, talk to me about the role of trauma when it comes to hugging. Your personal thoughts on that.
This moment, I have been blessed. I live only. Okay, see, you said moment, and then immediately that song just...
It's not stopping you.
It's so
just
sad.
Comes out of you.
God did not give me the gift of song or voice, but I just keep on doing it.
Yes, you do. Yes, right. Nothing stops you. You have no break.
It's fun.
Okay, go ahead.
But
go ahead.
It's a fun Friday.
There it is.
The role, talking about trauma, it's a fun Friday. So no, it's true. Like, and it can be very nuanced. Again, that's one of my favorite words. So much nuance as human beings in this experience we call the human experience. Because it doesn't mean you've had necessarily like a certain type of physical, sexual, emotional, mental type of trauma or abuse. Like, it doesn't even mean that necessarily. It could mean all those things, like trigger warning. But at the same time, it could just mean maybe, like, I've recently tied a few things back to when I was a lot younger, like playing around roughhousing with my cousins. And I was like, oh yeah, I was held down quite a bit when we were wrestling.
Wow.
And I was, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah. And then they like tied me up and like tickled me and did all these things to me and I couldn't move, and I hadn't thought about that in years. And I'm like, well, no wonder I kind of like get a little antsy sometimes if I feel like I can't have like an arm out or an option or I'm like trapped. So even just a little example of something that
Mm-hmm.
could seemingly be fun, but it's like, actually anything that makes you feel out of control where you don't have an option, like you can get out. So that's why I go back to even small children as we're raising them up, and they should always have an option out, right? Because they're the least protected, right? They're the most vulnerable. They're not like us adults running around where we can just leave the scene and hop in the car and drive away or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. They
Yeah.
can't always do that, or they feel like they can't just walk away or run away. So it is important that they have some kind of freedom and choice, and they know they're an individual even as like a little kid. So I've been raising my son that way. It's like, you matter. I love you, but you have to love yourself. And teaching him how to love himself is really important, and making sure he can see that in me too.
Yeah.
But it's true. Even something that simple doesn't even mean like, oh, this person like that was a predator, like hugged me and now I'm it doesn't even have to be that direct. It could be something so buried down. And that was something I thought of recently that I hadn't thought of probably since it occurred when I was like really young. Isn't that weird?
You know, you tied back to that moment in time in those different instances. Hopefully today somebody will be able to do the same and recognize that it had an effect on them to the point that it's affecting them, or at least they're having a memory of it now. You talked about a number of different things here about your life, hugging, where you grew up, number of things. What's your advice then to the ladies, to the moms? I know you said a number of things, but give us a tip for the day before we head out. What would be your advice to them?
My tip is very reflective of a lot of things I've learned and just kind of upgraded myself and just pushing forward is love yourself, value yourself. I don't care how anybody else is treating you. Just put that aside. And if you're a mother, especially, of course, you have an example and you have children or a child that is learning from you. And if you don't, there are other young kids and other people watching you and learning from you. Not to put all this extra pressure on you, because you should do it for you, but it's like we should do it for us. So it's like that inward self-love and like value ourselves. Like you're better than this. Like you don't have to be treated like this, or if you don't want to feel that way, if someone's hugging you this way or trying to make you feel like you can't do XYZ or talking down to you, whatever it is, right? Whether it's hugging or the spoken word or just an energy that you don't feel comfortable with and you can't put your finger on it, that's your intuition. And I've learned and just kind of upgraded my intuition recently, everything I've been going through, and it's like, oh, my intuition is spot on again. It's doing so much better, and it was so cloudy and dark for a while, and you have to like clean it off, just like you're cleaning your car and you're cleaning your house, and you have to learn and just resurface all that self-love again so that you won't even have to think through all these steps like this, because you'll know, because you love yourself, you value yourself, your intuition's spot on, and you can teach your kids that. And if you don't have kids, you can help teach other people that, and just be a great human. How about that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, you've been here with us at the Boom 86. This is our fun Friday. Next time we get together, we're going to have a Ghetto Fabulous Friday. That's what Crystal told me. That's what she wants.
Oh, snap.
And the lady wants it. She's going to have her.
I'm going to have to dress up for that, like a special outfit.
You know what? Shock me. I told you, I'm totally underdressed today. I threw on my Lakers shirt, and then I turned the camera on, and look at you all styling and stuff like that.
This is a sundress. I live in Florida.
Nobody sent me a memo. Okay, time
it's
for
because
a
I shave my
shout-out.
legs,
I'm gonna go
so
first.
you were dressed.
You can give a shout out. I'm gonna throw 2 shout outs here. The first one is I'm asking everyone to support Dr. Robin Briman. Dr. Robin Briman, PhD. Go to her YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Like, comment, share, follow Dr. Robin Briman, PhD. Check her out on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And the second one is I'm giving a shout out to a CEO of a company called Elevated Addiction Services. Elevated Addiction Services. You can find them, of course, on Instagram. But I want everyone to support Angie Manson. She has a podcast that's coming out soon entitled Going Rogue. Going Rogue. That's a really cool name, isn't it? Going Rogue. I like that.
You know I love it.
That's actually you, right? That's why
I'm
you
like,
got that look on your face.
Let me write
Going Rogue, Angie Manson. Make sure you check her out at angie.at.elevate. That's angie.at.elevate. That's a shout out from me. Two people there, Angie Manson and Dr. Robin Briman. Check them both out. Any shout out you want to give to your sister, your mom, a neighbor that hugged you the wrong way?
Oh,
Anything.
no, I would never do that. That would be mean.
Let's throw somebody under the bus before we go, because we're about to go.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
I'm not in that space anymore. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to send love and forgiveness and
Get on your knees, start praying again. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was last time. I was on my knees. We were way down here.
Don't do it now.
I'm very flexible, very agile. So yeah, I would like to shout out my extended family. So we got Gettings Productions Incorporated. That's GPI. They're a production company. They have been around for over 35 years. So that's one side of the business. And then they also have Stark Lake Studios.
Wow.
They're both right here under the same roof in Ocoee, Florida, which is right outside of Orlando. Everything's a hop, skip, and a jump away, right? You go Orlando, everything just takes 20 to 30 minutes to roll around here. So yeah, check them out. Just get on Google. So GPI and Stark Lake Studios. It's right by Stark Lake in Ocoee. So they have one of the largest tracking rooms in Florida. Ooh. A lot of people don't even know. Tons of people have recorded there over the years. And it's just like a nice little hideaway, right? If you want to kind of go low key, but you want quality and you want a nice ambiance to kind of get your groove on with. And they just started doing more event management and like venues. We went to a quinceañera there recently. So they're really nice for like weddings or, I'm just going to say all different kinds of parties.
There you
but
go,
check them out.
No, I'm just kidding.
I almost said weddings or funerals because of that movie.
What's
it called?
Somebody else.
And I was like, oh, God. No, I don't think they want to do that.
Your local wedding and funeral. Do both
it's some movie called like a wedding and a funeral, two weddings and an iPhone.
Yeah,
who knows?
Something like that. Okay,
it crossed.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. We could possibly pull off something in the future.
Yeah.
Where we could go from that studio to
the
studio out here.
True that.
Okay. Behind the scenes, we'll have to talk. We're gonna have to plan something.
I wanted to tell you that, but I was like, we'll talk.
Hey, you know what? Hey, let's keep it tight. Let's keep it tight. We'll do it behind the scenes.
Get it right. Get it.
Somebody may listen and wanna steal the idea. So
no.
Then we'll have to get your family to go find them. Your family's in the mob, right? Your family's.
Yeah, the half Greek, half American, half this, half that. Sure.
Okay. All right. So now, I've got to play music on the way out because the only reason there is the Boom 86 is because back in 2020, a number of people were watching our show, Narc Abuse TV, and they were wondering if we could have a show where we have music guests. Well, we do have guests lined up to do a live show for you and play for you, but you will see them soon. But right now, you've got us today.
Yay!
So you will know when they're coming on and what they're going to play and all that kind of stuff. People from across the world, by the way, Paris and other places. We have musicians from South Africa. There's a lot of people that have been lined up already to play for you before this year is up. You will enjoy them. And Crystal and I, we will work together to host that live show for you. All those things are coming your way right here on the Boom 86. Enough of me. I'm going to play some music on the way out, and then I'm going to talk to you when we're done. You did great today. You even did the weather kind of thing and described your background. And, you did the whole,
Look at the swirling colors.
Yeah, that thing, whatever that thing is you're doing there. Okay, I'm going to play a song now. And what I do is I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put a picture up. And it's the picture of this wonderful person who hosts this show with me. And I want to thank you so much for doing this show, 10 Things That Make a Great Hug. Which is
thank you.
I'm telling you what we're going to talk about next time.
You never know.
But, we're going to talk about something. I just don't know what it is yet. I'm going to play some music.
Part of the fun.
Will put in the description information concerning the Gettings studio information, the shout outs, the music that's played here. You will have all that so you can add it to your playlist. Thank you so much, my friend, for doing this with me. I enjoyed the show today. I had a lot of fun. All right, Crystal, we're going to get together again. But before I go, any last loving things that you want to say? You already gave us some tips. Anything else you want to say? Because you get the last word today.
Just love yourself and love your neighbor. Pop, pop. Happy Friday. Thank you.
You heard her, everybody. This is the Boom 86, internet radio, mental health, music, and a whole lot more.